All right, this is SFBarkast, and I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at the PatriotHouse.
Yes, not Patriot Place, but PatriotHouse.
Yeah,
which is a brand new bar in the financial district.
Yeah, I guess I would call it that.
It's sort of
Embarcadero Center.
I mean, it's a re-imaging of an old bar, right?
Yeah.
It used to be re-imaging. Not out of the gate, Andrew. Really, I'm gonna fucking stab you. And we should bring in our guest so he can jump in on anything here. We have Kevin Montgomery in the house. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I think this is only the second time I've actually been on for the full show, not just coming in the middle.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, you're usually
that is a feather in your cap.
Suck on that, Gorman.
That's a resume builder right there.
Also, I think for today we should be calling this place maybe the Patriots House. I'm just saying, maybe.
Well, I have a deep love for the Patriots, but I'm not so sure how I feel about this bar yet.
I just hate the way Bobby Knight, whenever he would say Patriot, he would say Patriot.
Patriot?
I like the Patriots.
What is wrong with everybody from Indiana? Are
They're
they
all terrible people?
Can they just not? Are they incapable of doing anything right?
From Sterling Jones on down, the whole state's been a miserable failure.
No, I'm just mad because the whole Deflategate thing started with the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, of course.
And they were the ones
what would
that
the Indianapolis Colts have to gain by besmirching the name of the...
well, if they can't, they certainly can't beat them. So they might as well try to lawyer up and make themselves relatively relevant.
And did they lose by 34 points or something like that?
Yeah, they lost by 35 points.
They're like those copyright lawyers that hope that they hope the Patriots will see it as too big of a hassle to deal with and accept out of court.
So do you want to get into this right now? Do you want to do the Patriots thing?
We might as well. There's nothing else going on in the world. Sorry, Nepal.
We don't want to talk about Bruce Jenner's junk.
Nepal's been bumped from the show again.
All right, so as everybody knows, the Patriots Tom Brady was suspended.
Tom Brady was screwed.
Yes, he's been suspended for 4 games, and the Patriots were fined $1 million, which is not a big deal because Robert Kraft is worth billions.
But they also lost their draft picks. That was pretty significant.
They lost 2 draft picks.
There was an actual GoFundMe account created to raise the $1 million, and it's already raised 5,000 or something from idiots.
First off,
that's great.
You guys,
that's good.
It's nice that you guys show your support for the Patriots, but Jesus Christ, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
The money is not a big deal.
Some guys
I think it shows that the fans, though, it's a Patriots nation. We're in this together. It's like you pay your taxes. When the Pats
the kid's
get fined,
I can't afford books for
costs
school. And he's
Yes.
screw you, I sent all the money to Bob Kraft.
Well, I guess no braces for your daughter this year. One of the things that is really infuriating about the whole story is how they were talking about the commissioner, Goodell, was waiting to gauge public sentiment to sentence Brady.
Right.
And so when he was
just like the American judicial system.
Oh yeah, exactly. You see how offended people are, and then you sentence accordingly.
It's just like what they did to Britney Spears.
So I guess he looked around and he thought that, a lot of people are upset over this, and therefore I'm going to give him a really stiff penalty. But then, people's reaction, in the last 2 days, it just seems like everybody agrees that they got screwed, and the Patriots are, punishing them for something that happened 8 years ago with the Deflategate, not Deflategate, the Spygate thing.
Right.
Which they already paid their debt to society.
If I'm the Patriots from now on, I just avoid gates.
I wouldn't even use the word gate.
Yeah, you know what? Free entrance in or out of the stadium now because there are no gates.
But one of the things that you were talking about, how people are trying to support the Patriots and show them they still stand by them. Supposedly,
I was being partly sarcastic there, by the way.
Well, I'm not. Well, supposedly after 1 day, Tom Brady jersey sales doubled.
Really?
Yeah. So
there's $1 million right there, Robert.
Yeah. So there you go, and that also shows that the commissioner thought that everybody was going to be on his side. People were like, "No, you fucked him over."
Considering that people were completely outraged at Ray Rice and Incognito and all these people, and they barely touched them. Like, if he's like waiting for the court of public opinion to decide before he lays down his judgment, he obviously is very out of fucking touch with the court of public opinion.
Well, the Ray Rice thing is a good example because initially he gives Ray Rice a two-game suspension, and then the video leaked of him like laying out his girlfriend, and not in like the cool, sexy way, in the fucking like the punch to the head way. And then he was like, "Oh no, we're gonna put him on the commissioner's ineligible list," which like nobody knew what the fuck that was. So he just kind of looked around. People were like,
probation.
"This guy gets." People were going crazy. Like, this guy only gets 2 games for knocking out his girlfriend, and he's like, "Oh, that's how you feel? Oh, he's out for the year."
Right.
But this is the problem, though, is it like shows that he has no compass. Like, I mean, of course we don't expect the NFL to necessarily have sentencing guidelines, but at the same time, like, you know, in the judicial system as we know it is once a sentence has been laid, it can be appealed, but like the judge just can't go back when you're in the middle of serving your time and saying, "Oh, by the way, we're just gonna tack on some more years because I like realized that you're a horrible monster and I was wrong in giving you like only like a little bit." Right. I don't know. It just like it just doesn't work that way. You kind of got to stick to it.
People sort of treat him as an elected official or something like that when like he's only supposed to represent like the owners and that's it. You know, so basically like
he's gonna get fired.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. Like, you know, up until like all of the other owners say, "You know what, this guy's a jackass and let's get rid of him." Well, but like, and so he's got like, you know, Bob Kraft probably thinks he's a jackass right now, but all the other teams are probably like, "Good, fuck him."
On PTI today, both the guys said that they fully expect him to be fired when his contract's up because he's shown
the commissioner.
Yeah, the commissioner.
Yeah.
And because
replace with Bill Simmons, right?
Replace
him with Bill Simmons.
Oh,
the
that'd be
NFL's
great.
just spiraling out of control. I mean, it's controversy after controversy. He handled the Redskins like a moron. He's still handling it like a moron. All the domestic violence and just like general injuries and brain injuries and long-term PTSD.
Right.
He's like been basically mute on all of that without like just like we'll change a couple of the rules, but it won't make a difference. Like he just keeps fucking up. He is just obviously inept.
Yet sometimes some of the things that he's dealt with, he just seems like he's really like incompetent.
Yeah,
like he
totally
just
incompetent.
Like he just is dropping the ball, the fully inflated ball.
He can't at one point go and look and say like, okay, this Redskins thing isn't going away. Like, is it going to really matter if we change it? If anything, we'll sell more gear because all of a sudden all the fans are going to buy new gear. Like, I mean, he can't even like look and say, how do we turn? To use a cliche, like, how do we turn this like lemon into lemonade? He's just like, oh, there's some lemons. I know. Why don't I just like stick my head in the sand and wait until they like mature into oranges or something? I don't know.
He's like he's like somebody who's like saying, who's like constantly checking the temperature of the polling, or it's oh, are you upset about that? Well, so am I then.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's just a really bad politician. Like, I'd rather him just be evil and be this like shadowy dictator that like lays down these harsh penalties and then just like all of a sudden sulks off into his little cave.
Didn't he? Like, wasn't he like the first couple of years of like him being commissioner? It was like he was like, you know, coming down hard on everybody, and like, you know, that's when like Wilbon started calling it the No Fun League and all that stuff. You know, it's like ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Although I do like, you know, people have always hated the Patriots because they're very successful, and a lot of the people who are most outspoken about like Tom Brady cheating and everything are like, you know, people like Marshall Faulk and players who like routinely used to get beat by him.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, but that's one of the things I really hate. Like, and maybe I'm going off reservation here a little bit, but I feel like there's this new attitude you can have that will inject you into the conversation, even if you're nowhere near, like, in the same league. And that is, like, if you lawyer up. You know, if you, back in the day, this is old man talk.
Okay.
Back in the day, you either won or you lost the game, right?
Yeah.
And now people will win, lose, or then try to find something about the team that beat them that puts them into the conversation again. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
the Jets did that with Spygate.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I'm sure that all these people are like, oh, yeah, like the Patriots, like, Tom Brady shouldn't have been playing in the Super Bowl, and the Patriots wouldn't be this good if they weren't, like, I'm sure somewhere out there's, like, a Jacksonville fan who's just like, yeah, fucking Patriots, man. It's like, if it wasn't for them cheating, we'd be, who knows how many Super Bowls we'd have. And like, because I
all those near misses the Jacksonville Jaguars had.
And I feel like it pervades a lot. Like I saw it at trivia last week when it was running a trivia night. Like there was a big team, and they had 6 people already, and they had 3 more people showing up. And I said, well, okay, you guys can play, but like you got to break it up because then you can't have a team of like 20 people.
Are you subtweeting my girlfriend right now, Jeff?
No. No, so
is this a different group?
No. So I'm not talking about your girlfriend's team.
Oh,
who won?
Because she had a grip of people.
And congratulations to them. So, well, she brought a bunch of people, but she was smart. Like they said, we're going to break up into like 3 teams because we have so many people. So, but I just told this other
Trivia
team.
pros here.
I was like, you guys should break up into 2 teams. And this one guy's like, why? I was like, well, because like you got like more people showing up, and you already like. I was like, you shouldn't have more than 5 or 6. And so they were like broke up, and they had like a team of 5, and there was another team of 4, and then this team that your girlfriend was on won. They had 6 people, and that same guy said to me, "Well, I don't think they should have been able to have 6 people if we couldn't have 6." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you would have had 9 people." And
you would have literally had
the
like
whole floor of your
20% of the room.
instead of just saying like, "Oh, we came in second," that's totally fine. He was like, he was upset that
lawyering
like
up.
he thought, he was lawyering up. He was like he's like, I don't think that they should be the winners because they had more people than us. And I was like, well, you would have had 9. And he goes, yeah, and then we would have won.
Well, it's like
if they had 9.
What do you do? Divide the points, the number of points scored per player on a team? Like at a certain point, it just gets absurd. It's like, dude, you're in a
at some
bar.
point, it
like,
stops being fun.
Yeah, it's like, dude, okay, 10 people's too much. 6 people maybe on the cusp of being too much, but what are you gonna do? It's like,
sorry,
geez,
while you did score the most number of points tonight, you failed the Wonderlic test, and we have to deduct.
My point is like
that
whole like attitude where it's like I can't take the notion of losing, so therefore I have to come up with a reason why other people shouldn't have won.
Well, exactly.
And it's like, so the same thing with the Patriots, where it's like, oh, they say that like they use 2 different gauges on the footballs in the AFC, like a divisional game, where the Patriots got busted for. And the 2 gauges weren't like the same. They didn't have the same accuracy.
Yeah, they weren't even calibrated.
Right.
So they said, so they used 1, and they said like at the worst, the balls were 0.02 0.02 below what they're supposed to
Pounds
be,
per square inch.
which is like totally something that could happen with like.
This is trivial.
Which is totally trivial.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the same thing as going if you went like a 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then you got busted for it.
You know what it is? It's like if you found this like rule in NASCAR or something like that no one ever everyone forgot about, and then they're like, oh yeah, go over that with a fine-tooth comb because this guy just won. And
Yep.
like they'd probably be like, oh yeah, like turns out like your oil was like the wrong viscosity or something like that. So your 2-lap victory doesn't mean anything. Like
I remember when Auburn won the college football championship, and the big cry was, well, they're going to get investigated, so we'll see if that'll stand up. I'm like, can't you just fucking let them? They won the game. And
they didn't do obviously something obviously shady. But here's the thing: is like, if they deliberately deflated the balls, yes, that's a problem. The problem is they have no concrete evidence that Brady had anything to do with it or even knew what was happening. They say like he texted with the guy. Well, shit, I text with a lot of people that have probably done very bad things in my life. That doesn't mean I was doing them with them.
Yeah, you're
or
sitting
knew they
with
were
2
doing
of them.
I mean, it's just like
I feel like
that's
if
the
anything,
problem here
like
is he's guilty by association.
the one thing that he is kind of guilty of, I feel like, is like.
Oh, here you go.
Well, no.
No,
During
he-
the
no, he-
original,
he
during the
denied.
original sort of thing, like both him and Belichick seem pretty glib about it, which they probably. I would probably be in the same position. I would probably be like, haha, yeah, like I like big balls. I like like big overinflated balls. So what? Fuck you. and that's essentially what they did. But
but who cares? They didn't.
I know, yeah. But
let's entertain for a second that Brady truly had no idea what was happening. Why would he be like, well, it's possible it happened? No, of course he's gonna be like, of course that didn't happen.
Yeah,
what do you mean we deflated balls? Like, come on, dude, we didn't deflate balls. Like if he's legitimately innocent, then that's an acceptable response. The problem is they think probably maybe he might have known something, but that's not. But that one is not concrete. If we want to actually extend the rules of the American judicial system onto football, which I know we're getting into the realm of absurdity already,
it's not like a court.
The burden of proof should be on the NFL. And the NFL couldn't prove anything, but they still slapped him with the punishment anyways. And then everyone holds it against him for being glib. It's like they didn't expose anything, they didn't prove anything. So how can you accuse them of being glib?
You know, honestly, what I think happened was he did tell them to deflate the balls, but he knows that there is a range where they can have it. In one of the text messages, the guy said, "Oh, the referees fucked us because they checked the gauge of one of the balls and it was at 16, which was way too high. It's not. It's way higher than the regular amount." And he knows that it can be between 12.5 and 13 because he knows that because he and Peyton Manning went to the commissioner and said, "Hey, can we have a little range for it?" And so when he's playing with balls that are heavily overinflated, he's probably says, "Yeah, well, I like it a little." On the low end of that scale. So he probably told him, hey, yeah, deflate him a little bit. Don't deflate him to the point where it's unfair. But yeah, take some air out because that's still in the legal limit.
Well, the problem that was exposed by the entire scandal was that the NFL didn't have this they weren't doing this themselves.
Oh, they're so incompetent.
But it's if you guys want the balls to be inflated to a certain amount, then you guys control the balls. Like this weird fucking thing where it's the home team gets to inflate all the balls and check them and everything like that. Like whose idea was that?
It's also doesn't seem like a good plan.
Yeah,
don't they check the balls an hour before the game and then they leave the balls and they're like, don't touch them.
Right. Okay. We're gonna leave you in this pump here, but don't do anything with either one.
That's a sting. All right, let's take a break.
Yeah, you have
because I have more to say about this.
You have a plate of nachos.
We should probably also talk about the bar at some point.
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, we'll get around to that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to soak it in a little bit.
Yeah, let's look at these nachos, though.
All right, this is SFBarkast. We'll be back from, what's it called? PatriotHouse.
PatriotHouse.
Silver wings up on their chest parade.
All right, and we are back at the PatriotHouse.
The Pat's house.
Pat's house. Andrew, do you feel any more patriotic being at the PatriotHouse?
You know what?
Patriotic?
I don't really. I mean, there is there are sort of paintings of George Washington and
never heard of them,
colonial flags around, but that doesn't necessarily fill me with a sense of country pride.
There's a Confederate flag sitting right across from me on the wall.
Oh, it's part of a newspaper article.
Yeah, there's a framed newspaper article that says "History of Famous American Flags."
You don't want that taken out of context. Kevin Montgomery claims that.
It's probably about
as a journalist, I should know. I should have said I should have contextualized it, but the clickbait headline is so much better when I just Confederate flag.
Confederate flag. You are confronted with the the stars and bars. God damn it!
If we were writing a blog entry, it would be like, Grand Wizard Kevin Montgomery was downtown today.
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you overall? What do you think of? And we haven't even talked about this bar. Was is a recent remodel of a bar that used to be here called the Holding Company, but the remodel was done on our favorite television show, Bar Rescue.
Your favorite TV show?
No, yeah, a show mentioned once on the Barcast, and it's a show that initially I think I really liked. Because it was just kind of fun to see the bar business peeled away or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah. You want to see how the sausage is made?
Ooh, is that where they do the accounting? That little corner.
Although to also see them clean out a bar when they find all this stuff in coolers and stuff.
That's sort of the worst.
And I think of all the $2 pint bars I drink in, and I'm like, that's totally what I'm drinking.
You're like, this is nice compared to what I'm probably drinking. Yeah. I've seen the guy piss in my beer there.
And I don't watch the show know, like both of you guys have watched the show before. I've never seen the show, but my first reaction, and I know this is totally like a first like gut reaction, but it's like, how hard is it to run a fucking bar?
It's a science running a bar, as they say on the show.
I mean, like, the great thing is they build it up as like, well, John Taffer's this expert in like bar science and everything like that. But what like all he really ends up doing is saying like, hey, alcoholic that's like running the bar, stop drinking.
Like, yeah, no joke.
No, he'll come in and it's like, oh, your bar has rats. Clean. You know?
Yeah, good idea. Like.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a cocktail menu because the young urban professionals love cocktails. Like every show, like he could.
How do we take the microwave pizza and like remove the rat shit from it?
Like
as
this
a
is
starter.
precisely the type of tickering that we're paying you for.
Every single bar he goes into though, like his answer is just like cocktail menu and like small plates.
Oh yeah, well I mean
because
some
that's
of
what
the
yuppies like.
Well,
like
no,
some
I
of
mean,
the like quote unquote science of it is just awful because like there was this thing that he claims to have invented.
The butt funnel.
Yes, the butt funnel. Like, which
are we still talking about bars here?
no,
we're not talking about
ingenious
toilets.
ways of doing cocaine.
Ooh.
But yeah, so it was this whole like rail system that's supposed to like this designed to make you like rub up against other people, which is really fucking annoying. Like it's
People,
like
if
a place is
young
crowded,
people today they like to rub against each other.
well, no, but like if a place is crowded, like you're gonna have to rub up against people. But to artificially make it,
the idea is to artificially make a small, tight space between like a bar and two tables, so that when like a couple people walks through, they kind of bump into each other. The idea is they bump into each other, they say "I'm sorry," and then
they say, "Hey, let's fuck,"
and then they like, and then as he would say, then they go get a drink, and now they're talking.
All right.
Well, in
Who
reality,
the fuck
someone's
does I
just
think he is?
He's a fucking asshole. He's like an alchemist of sex. I don't like it. Like
He's like, and then the next thing you know, they're fucking in the bathroom.
And that's when the installed cameras take effect. Like, what? Like,
Oh,
this
no,
is not the bar remodel I wanted at all.
I noticed
Little
you don't
to
have
know,
toilet cams.
Don't remove my hidden cameras after the show leaves. Well,
Welcome
that's why he has to
welcome
renovate
to
the
your new
bar, and put in
upskirts.
the fuck room.
It's like, nah.
Because you can put a camera on your shoe and then like look up girls' skirts.
I would love to see John Waters do a bar rescue. He just like immediately goes into the bathroom, punches a hole through the bathroom stall, just puts a sign that says "glory hole" over it. Like, just like the kind of stuff that I want to see in my bars.
What are you doing with that oversized drill? Don't worry about it.
That's like
We're gonna call this place the Flamingo.
That's like the next step, though. I think is like you do like a gay bar rescue, and like you have like some really catty guy that's just like this place sucks. Here's why.
Yeah, but that's what you should do. But like, it should be in like Middle America. It should be like in Lincoln, Nebraska.
It should like only do like Applebee's in like Indiana. Like,
take that, Indiana. But like seriously, like what's the markup on alcohol in a bar?
Oh,
it's like,
so much.
It's like 400%.
Yeah.
If you
can't make that work.
if you can't make that work, you should seriously get yourself checked for a mental illness.
It's like it's like Chris Rock's whole thing about like it's like no one sells drugs. Like people offer drugs. Like no one sells alcohol at a bar. Like you just offer it to people and they show up. Like
Right.
But the thing is,
Drugs sell themselves.
I think the idea though is like,
how am I gonna get rid of all these drugs?
if your bar is shitty though, like people will notice. Like, I mean, like look at a bar. Like, okay, we're familiar with this podcast called the Barcast, right? Mm-hmm. And now I've heard you guys walk into bars and be like, this place sucks. I'll never go back in there.
Right.
You said that about Zeitgeist, Dear Mom. I was there for Dear Mom when we just spent 20 minutes just literally ranting about how bad that place sucked. Now, why did it suck? What they
And now
still
in
served
retrospect, I love
alcohol.
it.
They still served alcohol, which we
That's
just
true.
identified as a key factor of what makes a successful bar is just having booze. So like,
I was celebrating the
else.
Seahawks winning the Super Bowl for once,
Well, you know,
as I recall.
yeah, I remember that might have been a
For
similar
goddamn once.
time. Yeah.
Goddamn one-time champions.
Well, you know, maybe if we didn't deflate the balls, maybe you guys would have won.
That's true.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like,
I can't believe
We
this.
can't go back. We can't go back
somebody-
down that road.
yeah.
If the ball wasn't like the roughly the consistency of like a wet sausage, like, it's like I guess it would have been fine.
Because, you know, it's so much easier to win football games with like a deflated ball.
That's right.
But anyways, like I do think that like you have to put in a little extra effort, or else like it's just not gonna feel fun. Yeah.
All I'm saying, I'm not saying you get anybody who opens a bar it's going to be a great bar. I'm just saying, in order for you to fuck it up, you have to actively.
Well, I will say this,
like fuck it up.
We both were here when it was called the holding company.
Yeah.
And
is it the same owners?
Was for years, right? Like, I think the holding company was bought by the owners that own this, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
And so who are the owners now?
It's like these 3 or 4 Irish girls.
Four Irish girls.
Irish girls.
One of the owners is the owner of the Napper Tandy right around the corner from my house in the Mission District.
Oh,
have you guys done Napper Tandy yet?
No, we have not.
I know I've listened to every episode, but my mind just was not as sharp.
Yeah, I trust you. But yeah, I had a friend who worked here for years, and I always liked it. It wasn't, but the thing is, like for me. Andrew, you got here at right before 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, there's nobody here.
There was nobody here, right?
Yeah.
As soon as it turned 5 o'clock, this place is
it's a
wall to wall, douchebag.
I think that's like the real challenge of a place like this.
I disagree.
Would be to make it anything other than an after work bar or a during work bar.
No, it has to be an after work bar.
Yeah,
however,
it's not a destination bar.
I will disagree with Jeff. I don't think the clientele is douchebag. I see a lot of suits. I think it's a lot of people that are just people that work in business versus like a bar that I think would be full of douchebags is something more like
the Rick House,
the Hall on Market Street that recently opened in the old Hollywood Billiards. That's full of people that work for Twitter and they all look like douchebags and they're yelling about valuations. People here are just like, I work 9 to 5. I want to get loaded before I go home and see my kids.
Go home to that hedgehog of a wife of mine.
So like I'm actually I feel like this I feel like I can like get on these people's level. I can appreciate what they're trying to do here.
I really don't understand like the entire complex that this rests in, the Embarcadero Center.
It seems I hate the Embarcadero Center.
Well, it seems to be like one of those places that was built like around the same time as like the King Dome.
I retract my opinion.
Like it seems to be like one of those places built around the same time as the King Dome or something like that, where like everybody was like assuming that like everyone wants to look at concrete all the time, and like
concrete.
It's like let's make everybody feel like you're in a parking garage all day, and we'll build malls that reflect that.
This is exactly how this place feels. It feels like a parking garage.
It does, yeah. There's no warmth to it at all. Like you're just sort of like wandering around, going like, is this level C Promenade? Where the fuck is the Patriot House?
In
it was hard to find.
It is. It's always weirdly. I mean, I've been here like 10 times.
We didn't even say where it is. It's in the Embarcadero Center 2.
Number 2.
And it's number
4.
Which
204.
Which is nowhere near or not. I mean, which is not on Embarcadero or Market, which you think it would be, or center located.
We do have a beautiful view of the Transamerica building though from our seat.
True.
Yep.
Well, at least I do. You guys are facing the inside. I'm facing the outside because I
don't
really want to look at John Taffer's design aesthetic any longer.
Yeah, I would say definitely I don't know if they had like a back and forth or like, this place has a very specific, theme to it. And it's like this, patriotic historical thing. So it looks like an old New England bar.
Yeah.
It's American Revolution themed.
Right.
Yeah.
Themed.
Like it's completely non-offensive to anyone. So like it's a good bar to sort of exist in a place, like a business setting. Like
You're right. Like there's nobody.
No one's gonna like walk into this place and be like, "Fuck this!" I can't stand it.
Nobody's gonna walk over to like a portrait of like George Washington and be like, "Oh, that fucking shit." Although I was saying
that boring tableau.
They are like playing up the patriotic element here, but I don't see a portrait of the Twin Towers.
That's right. Or
it
Tom Brady for that matter.
When do you think John Taffer does his first 9/11 themed restaurant?
Oh,
I mean,
it's got to be coming.
It's got to happen soon.
Whoever
a 2-for-1 special.
Whoever the first person is to open a 9/11 themed restaurant is going to get vilified. But
probably
they're going to
swim
way ahead of their time.
Yeah, they're on the head. They're ahead of the wave.
That's right.
This is the wave of the future. It's like
I'm paving the way for a brave new generation of tasteless idiots.
And they laughed at me when I had a World Trade Center bowling, and now everybody has it.
They laughed at my chocolate molten steel cake.
They laughed at my Jenga Building 7 game.
Oh God.
Sons of bitches.
Yellow cake appetizers.
Yeah, so I guess good work, John Taffer, sort of, but not really.
I mean, it's it's
the
good, but
episode-
it's nothing unique. It's nothing original.
Yeah, like
Well, so the thing is their episodes are interesting because usually, as you said, it's like an alcoholic like owner or like they
Right.
like the bar's just dirty. Like this place,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You could. It wasn't like a lot of the other ones because he's like, oh, you people generally know what you're doing. Your food's just like mediocre, not amazing, and
bar
your
food.
bartenders are not consistent.
Right, like
so like it was
basically
just,
all you have to do with a place like this is not drive people away.
Yeah.
Like if you can like exist for people to like come drink in after work, you're a success.
But
Like
basically, basically he was just like, oh yeah, just be better bartenders and
Right.
you'll be fine.
Just-
Like it was actually
just don't
like,
serve food that's embarrassing. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
it- like
that's all.
it was like kind of sad because like you would expect more. Like there wasn't much drama, so it was like, oh, was
Right,
this
right.
place even like a failure to begin
Well,
with,
and
or
also,
did they
like,
just want a free
not
renovation?
to sound like all like a high, like this city's like so much better than other cities, but you would think that like the San Francisco like bar and restaurant like industry is so competitive and so ridiculous. Like you would think that it would sort of naturally weed out like people that
Totally.
couldn't do that. But it's
It
amazing
doesn't.
that they didn't, that it didn't just like completely fail so hard that like that they just had to move back to Ireland or something terrible like that.
Fate worse than death.
That's right.
Well,
But you could even tell Taffer was struggling to find things to yell about because
Yeah.
usually like a 43 minutes once you subtract commercials, like of the 43 minutes he usually spends a solid 10 to 15 screaming. It's just like a montage of him screaming at people and like
Right.
he did very little screaming,
hate-
suggesting that this was a reasonable place to begin with.
Yeah.
I hate that attitude that people have whether it's like who's the other guy, Chef Ramsay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all he does
Kitchen
is-
Nightmares.
Yeah, all he does is like yell at people, and like I'm just like I never watched the show, but I would
Yeah.
love to read an article about how someone just clocked him right in the fucking mouth, and then he had to say to the person, "Oh no, what are you doing? Like this is just my thing. I'm this is my personality."
Right.
It would be even worse if you were on that show. And when the cameras weren't on, and he was like, "Hey, how's everybody doing? You okay? All right, we're ready to shoot. Okay,
Right.
action." And he's like,
mother-
"Fuck yeah!" No. I'd be like, "Wow, now I want to punch him more." But like, I feel like we should not be rewarding people for being dicks like that, and then
yeah.
and then them wrapping themselves and like, "Well, I'm hard on people, but that's how I achieved so much." It's
Right,
like,
right.
"Fuck you."
No
Get
boss.
over yourself.
Well, the thing is he does episodes where like he goes in, he's like, "Stop screaming at your employees. You're
Right.
treating them like shit." And then he's basically a poster child for being an asshole. Like it's just like it doesn't make any. It doesn't compute. But
Did you see? I'm sorry. Did you see the movie Whiplash?
No, I
have
didn't see
not.
it, but,
Okay,
but
so-
I know exactly. I mean, it's like a
Yeah.
crazy drumming teacher, right? Like,
So this drumming teacher who's like super abrasive and he's super abusive and he's yelling all the time. He's yelling about jazz drumming. Okay, so first off,
when he's
fuck
not yelling
that.
about farmers
Okay,
insurance.
Who cares?
You might as well, yeah, or farmers insurance. You might as well be yelling about that. But the thing is, people have been saying like, yeah, well, that's what it takes to become the best. You need
Yeah,
somebody
exactly,
to really push you. These people were saying that
I mean,
like
everything.
that's what it takes for somebody to get the best out of someone to really push them hard. I'm like, well, guess what? Larry Bird went to Indiana and for his freshman year, and he didn't like the
a
way
state where everyone fucks up.
a state where everybody fucks up except Larry Bird, and he was with Bobby Knight,
Yeah.
and he didn't like Bobby Knight. He didn't like him yelling all the time and stuff. And Larry Bird transferred. He went to Indiana State, and guess what? Larry Bird did all right without some jackass yelling at him all day long. So this whole notion where it's like, yeah, that's what it takes. You got to kick people in the ass to get the best out of them. It's like, fuck you.
But you know what? Like, there's all these people that are like lining up to like be abused by people like that. Because like,
Yeah, well, people
I remember,
like to get shit on too.
Well, it's like a friend of ours, like
Literally.
in LA, like Robert Gaeta, shout out. Like he said, like he dreamed of like playing for Bobby Knight. He was a decent basketball player in high school, and he's like, oh yeah, that'd be the greatest thing ever. And it's like,
Okay,
why? Like,
let me
you're
put it to both you guys.
ridiculous.
If you had a chance to play or work with somebody who has kind of a legendary status, and they were treating you like shit, would you just eat it, or would you be like, hey, fuck this?
I mean, it
Well, it
totally
depends.
on
Do
how
they
much
treat
you
me like
respect them, I
shit?
guess.
Do they treat me like shit all the time, or just when like once in a while.
No, they treat you like shit all the time.
Yeah, I
Basically,
would leave.
I'm asking if you would stand up for yourself or you're just like a
I
spineless
would stand
turd.
up for myself. Yeah, I would absolutely
So-
stand up for myself. I'd be Larry Bird. I'd be the one that would say,
Yeah.
fuck you, I'm better than you.
So
Fuck
this
off.
spineless turd.
No one's gonna
like,
give a shit about you, but
That's-
in 2015, everyone will still know my fucking name.
That's
So this
That was-
spineless turd, does this spineless turd make a decent living?
as far as turd money goes, yeah.
Oh, that's all right then.
As an
Good with that.
invertebrate turd goes,
well.
yeah, he makes pretty good money. So I don't know. Okay, so back to John. What's his name? John Rocker.
John
Taffer.
Taffa.
So my big thing is I read a lawsuit recently. I really studied up for this. I don't know why.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
I don't know
So
why
he-
either.
apparently he
Breaking the
did this.
case law.
He did this episode in L.A. where he basically his producers kept, well, according to the lawsuit, of course. Let's get that out of the way first. That basically
Paragraph 6,
the
Article 3 of it.
producers kept on texting him or texting the bar owner, being like, "You need to be more controversial, be more controversial." And at one point, they told him to hit on who John Taffer's wife often goes in as like a
told who?
reconnaissance.
Told who to hit on John Tapper.
Producer told the bar owner. So let me back this up. So John Taffer's wife usually does a reconnaissance at the beginning of every episode where she'll go in the bar undercover to
Right.
see how operations are really run to average customers. And so the producers kept texting the owner to hit on Taffer's wife. And then in the lawsuit, it says that Tapper came in and picked up a drink that was planted, threw it in the guy's face, ripped his shirt off of him and punched him in the face.
What?
But then they made the guy refilm the scene where John Taffer wasn't so violent.
Wow.
And so all these people, I read these bar rescue forums where they were saying they all thought it was bullshit, and then some guy started taking screenshots from the episode after it aired because the lawsuit went before the episode aired, and they actually showed the guy in later scenes having different shirts, suggesting that his original shirt was destroyed as described, and they made him put on a different one.
Wow.
So it was
That's you get this text and you're like, oh yeah, hit on John Taffer's wife, it'll be fun. And then you're
And he's, like,
hey
getting
baby, how
punched
you doing? And all of a sudden, this guy just beats the shit out of you for no reason.
You know, though,
Hey, wait a minute.
I
But
totally
he's like,
believe this.
he's that much of an asshole, basically. That and this the thing is they're putting him up to it. They're setting John Taffer up to look like this uber asshole because that makes for better TV.
Yeah, it's controversial.
does. Yeah,
Nobody watches the show where everything works out.
Right.
Yeah, no one watches the show and just be like, "Oh, hey, you guys really need to stop bickering." Like, look, we're going to decide on this
Oh, will do.
concept. He wants them to yell like, "You guys are dysfunctional fucking sisters. You need to get it together. You need to start loving each other."
We investigated your kitchen and it's all really clean.
You know what
Sons of bitches.
what Kevin said, I totally believe that as far as the producer is concerned, because I knew somebody who was on The Real World, and they said that when the producers got upset, they would take the characters individually into a meeting, and there'd be 3 producers there, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? We were looking at the footage, and I don't know what to tell you, man. It's boring. What you're doing, I don't know if I'd watch it,
Right.
you know." And
I
so,
can't even beat off to it. It's
so they're and
so uninteresting.
so then they're like, "Oh, so now we're on the fucking, we're basically been giving our marching orders to shake it up."
Right.
No matter what, no matter what cost. So I don't deny.
That's what's so great about reality television is that you can make the people produce their own show. Where you're just okay, more interesting. All right, now you fuck that person.
Yeah, no, well,
But that's what made early seasons of The Real World so interesting, is because they were kind of boring.
yeah.
But
Right.
Later, it was just once it became a screaming match, everyone was sort of meh, except for people
once
who like
it
that
became a
shit.
path to something else. Everyone's oh, hey, guess what? If I'm the biggest asshole on TV, that's something that pays well.
I like the notion that the producer of Bar Rescue was scopes out the place and just tries to plant these mines
Right.
for people to step in. And he's like, "Yeah,
I'm gonna need you to fuck John Taffer's wife.
It's yeah, John Tapper's wife? She loves getting finger banged." Are we talking about the bar? Well,
Just bend her over right in front of the hidden camera.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry. You
pound
were
her.
introducing me to your wife.
Is that how everybody in Hollywood talks to each other?
But it's amazing too that they had to refilm John Tapper like beating the shit out of this guy. Like they're like, oh, sorry, first take wasn't very good. By the way, so I just got my fake Moscow Mule drink.
Oh, Jesus,
it comes in a tin that says Absolute Mule.
Okay.
It looks
Yeah.
like a coffee mug for people that are alcoholics.
No, it looks like if you were like a Civil War guy.
Fancy Southern dandy.
If you were like
Dandy son of a bitch.
Hanging out in Savannah, Georgia.
if you were like
Drinking
a
your
Civil
Moscow
War mixologist.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Ooh, I wonder if they think we're like a post-production crew though, and they're coming by here
Oh,
to
yeah.
like see if we're following up to make sure they're sticking to the
Roasting like
drinks.
the saddest bar rescue podcast ever. Like we just follow bar rescue around 1 month later.
They call us Man Rescue or something.
Although I will say that we are. It's kind of an after work. It's definitely an after work crowd here,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
also a lot of like tourists here
Right.
Oh,
because
definitely.
it's downtown.
Yeah.
And
Sort of a safe-ish environment. Like thank you so
Yeah.
much.
but like I actually have seen like a couple of people kind of looking at us with our equipment, like, oh, what's going on there? And it's like I can just imagine them going back to, I don't know, some godforsaken place like Indiana. I'd be like, when we were in California, we saw someone making a podcast.
Yeah, they call themselves Pod Rescue.
I'm not sure. I didn't get to talk to them, but I'm pretty sure they were all gay. We were in San Francisco.
Well, this is like the this is
Two
the
of them were
solution to your problem
comedians.
of like.
One of them talked about computers.
Remember you were saying that you were having a problem with like no one being impressed with us recording anymore. Like so like.
Yeah, we're just
So
going
we
to the wrong
have to move
places.
to like tourist. We have to like do every Barcast from Fisherman's Wharf from now on.
Yeah, I think the big problem with the podcast so far is that I don't get to Bigfoot enough people.
I want to tell some like family from Florida to beat it because we need the space.
Yeah, exactly. Tell them to move. We have a podcast to do.
Well, where are we gonna sit? I don't care. In the toilet. Just move it.
All right, you ready to take a break?
Let's do that.
All right,
I've been ready for minutes.
this is
Yeah.
SF
I think everybody has.
podcast coming to you from Patriot House.
House.
All right, and we are back at the Patriot House or Patriot House.
The Patriot House.
Patriot House.
Ow.
I'm still on board for Mad Max. Are you?
I totally am. Like when we had Kevin
A week to
Whittinghill.
go?
What?
What do we got? Like a week to go?
Yeah, when we had Whittinghill on the show, we did this great joke about how when I saw the preview to Mad Max Fury Road, I was like, I have to live that long. I've got to at least make it to when that movie comes out. Because think about it, like we've all seen like the preview to the new Star Wars movie, right? And when's that come
Yeah.
out? Is it Christmas or next year?
Christmas, I think.
Christmas.
like that,
Yeah.
So if one of us were to die before Christmas,
That would be fine.
And then-
for me, if I died,
I know,
it wouldn't be like anyone would be at my funeral. And be
We'll
like,
still
you
drag
didn't
your-
get to see the new Star Wars.
We'll still
What?"
drag your corpse to the theater to watch it.
Oh, that'd be great.
No,
Weekend of Bernie's, Star Wars opening
no,
weekend.
but if you were to die and then like right before Christmas, and then you're up in heaven, and then every new person you meet, they're like, "Oh, did you see the new Star Wars? It was fucking awesome." I died a week later, but I
Right.
saw it. And so then, like, you're in heaven, all you hear is people talk about how great that movie is, and then you have to go to God and be like, "Hey, can we possibly have a screening of this movie I heard about?" And he says, I created this paradise, and you want to watch a fucking movie? Like, is this not good enough for you?
Right.
So,
Well, long
I've-
story short, yes, God.
Well-
Really not very good at the harp, and kind of got allergies.
So yes, we're only like a few days away from seeing Mad Max, and so I've held out. I'm going to
Sure.
play it safe and wear a helmet from now until I see the movie.
In the meantime, I also read that Mission Impossible 5 has been shut down so that they can figure out the ending.
Conversely,
really?
Yeah. Which is amazing. Like, I mean, that must cost so much money to like shut a movie down in the middle of filming, and then like the problems with the ending must be so bad that they're like, you know what? It's worth like $20 million or how much this costs us. so that we're not like
You probably should just.
we're not blaming the whole thing on
movie at
Abraham
that
Lincoln or whatever the current ending is.
Conversely, when I see a preview for
Wait,
Mission
aren't they-
Impossible, I'm like, I hope I die before that comes out.
Wait, aren't they already advertising it? Because isn't like Tom Cruise like holding onto a plane when it takes off?
Yeah.
Which makes total sense. All of a sudden, like he's like on the ground, then a plane takes off and is going 500 miles an hour, and he's just holding on to the side of it.
Saluting L. Ron Hubbard as they take
A
off.
Scientologist can do that. He's got like super retard
Oh,
strength.
I forgot he had that. Yeah.
That's a super Scientologist strength.
So we're not going to have any Yelp reviews this week.
It's like a new place, so it gets a pass on the
But
Yelp reviews.
I do want to tell a story because every week when we do Yelp reviews, I talk about how I consider Yelp reviewers to be subhuman and not worth the fucking bullet that it would cost to kill them. But I actually wrote a 1-star Yelp review this week.
Ooh.
And it was for the...
What massage parlor was it for?
You called this a rub and
She
tug?
had so much calluses on her hand.
Time for a redefinition of the words happy
The only
and
thing that
ending.
came out of my dick was blood. It was horrible.
How about a sad ending? I wrote a 1-star Yelp review for Giordano Brothers on 16th Street because I went in there with a friend. There was nobody in the bar, and
except you and your friend were.
We were sitting there, and we were sitting way over by, way far away from the door. And the guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, you wanna order?" I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get something to eat." And then he's like, "Yeah, you wanna run a tab?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna pay in cash." And he's like, "Well, I need a credit card if you're gonna order food."
What?
And I was like, "All right, what?" I was like, "Whatever." So I gave him this card I never use, this credit card, but I'm looking around. I'm thinking there's nobody here. You're the bartender. You can't fucking stay on top of it. And he said he insisted that it's the policy. If you're gonna order food, you have to give him a credit card. So I was like, all right, whatever. So gave him the credit card, and we're there. And of course, the wings suck that I ordered. And then I left. And guess what? 2 days later, I get a call from the fraud department from the credit card that I never use. That somebody was buying video game stuff with it.
Are you serious?
And I never use his card. And so I wrote a 1-star Yelp review, and I was like, this is a great bar if you want to see how good your fraud department on your credit card is. and they had it taken down. I think it's because I don't have any proof that they did it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to run that out. So I've taken to the podcast airwaves to let people know that, why would you, if you say I'm going to...
Did Yelp take the review down?
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck them.
Well,
so this guy clearly stole your credit card.
No, because the thing is, I don't have any concrete proof, and I understand because whoever the owner is dude, if word gets out that some jackass is stealing credit cards here, credit card numbers, then it could really be detrimental to our business.
Sure, yeah,
and I don't have any proof, but I do know that I haven't used that card in months.
Right.
And then right after I gave it to this guy, there's all these phony charges on it. So, whatever.
Same thing happened to me at...
I didn't have to pay for the charges. They're sending me a new credit card, and Giordano Brothers can eat their mother's dicks.
It's also a horrible
Both
bar.
brothers.
It's a horrible bar to begin with. It's just
at some point we'll have to go there. And,
No.
Oh, I would love to go there.
Yeah,
Love to go there
so much
now.
fun. Basically, the whole city of Pittsburgh sucks. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, so what did we learn today? Pittsburgh and Indiana?
That's all right. Cincinnati, is that in the middle of those two? That
also-
sucks too.
At Giordano Brothers, they have this sort of what they consider high cuisine sandwich, which just totally sucks.
Which is just
it's like French fries in a sandwich.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's a big piece of bread and some fucking
Texas toast with a bunch of fries
prosciutto
and
in
shit
there and fucking and coleslaw and their big thing. They have all these aggressive posters about don't ask to make any substitutions. The sandwich comes as it is. It's whatever, dude. The thing
the
about
sandwich comes in the perfect Western Pennsylvania style, and you will not fuck with it.
What kind of moron can't hold the pickles? I mean, really.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
So whatever. That's that's my story, my Yelp review story. So I semi-apologize to all those subhumans who write one-star Yelp reviews, but like now I understand why you do that. But at least I'm not saying it was like 205 and they wouldn't give me a beer. I had my credit card stolen.
Maybe there's like a pro Giordano's podcast out there that reads bad Yelp reviews of it, and they're reading yours right now. Like,
maybe we should. Read
this asshole thinks they stole his credit card.
You guys should do you guys should do a Barkast there and just read the 5-star reviews and laugh at them for being fucking morons.
Oh right, exactly. I come here all the time. My friends love it.
This place is better than the Penguins and the Pirates combined.
After a good day of playing beer pong, I like to go down to Giordano Brothers and then act like I'm tough.
$6.95 for a Stella, really good deal.
Do you have anything, Andrew? I got one more other thing.
I have a couple of plugs, but like if you've got another like actual news item or anything like that.
No, I have kind of a plug, and I know this may be a little controversial to some people, but I just want to say that I want to proclaim.
Giordano sucks.
In the opposite of how I feel about Giordano Brothers, I want to proclaim my undying love for Erin Andrews. Because did you see, like, she's catching all this shit for, she was on Dancing with the Stars, and this one person on Dancing with the Stars decided he was going to propose to his girlfriend on air, and she was like in the middle of she was like interviewing them, and then this guy gets down on one knee, and then Erin Andrews just like kind of rolls her eyes and goes, ugh. And she was getting all this shit for basically,
shitting all over marriage or something.
Right, exactly, shitting all over like this guy's like a public display of love for his girlfriend, and she just kind of like dropped her fucking microphone. She's like, nah. And the thing is, people are saying it's rude. It was so rude of her to do this. And her response is, honestly, she just didn't know what was going to happen. And she was actually making a sort of super happy face, not like a rolling her eyes, oh, look at this shit again face. But I think the only reason why that story gets traction is because whatever her motivation was for doing that, she basically lived the dream that all of us would like to do when we see something like that. If someone like gets down on one knee in public, we all have. Some people are like, "Oh, that's so lovely. They have so much love for each other," and so many, the majority of us are like, "Oh fuck, for fuck's sake, get out of the way."
I'm trying to watch the TV. Sit down.
This is why I hate like what's happened to Dolores Park. In the Mission in general, is I don't care if it's gotten like gentrified or yuppified. I hate the fact that like every other weekend in Dolores Park now, someone's doing a public proposal with drones flying overhead and filming the whole thing and trying to make some viral video. And it's just like fuck it, like who the fuck cares? Like you are the trashiest person ever. If you want to come to Dolores Park, where there's routinely fucking fistfights and like have this like picturesque like hipster fucking proposal. Like, eat my fucking nuts, dude. It's played out. Seriously, it's played out.
You know what's hilarious about that is there's two ways of looking at that proposal from Dolores Park, where it's like, oh, he loves her so much that he has organized these drones to propose. Or you could say, he's like, I can always find you, bitch. I'm always monitoring you.
I have footage of you from every angle.
I could have you annihilated.
Please be mine forever.
I could drop a bomb just as easily as I could drop a ring.
Exactly. Keep that in mind.
So there you go. There's our. I think we've gone.
That's a 1-star proposal right there.
I want to write a Yelp review of that proposal.
That proposal stole my credit card.
So unoriginal.
You think anyone's like proposed to someone outside of Giordano Brothers? I met you on Warcraft. If you never stole that credit card, you would have never signed up.
I want you to be the fries in my sandwich.
That's funny. Exactly.
Go Pirates.
I'll buy you.
Go Bucks.
As long as this credit card number clears, I'm gonna buy you a nice ring.
I love you more than Willie Starsel.
Let's consummate our love with a pickleback.
Andrew, what do you have?
I have I definitely want to plug So the two knuckleheads that do Talking Bird podcast about Eagleheart,
Okay.
they are now doing a Star Wars podcast, but
It's every minute.
No. This is a friend of the show, Robert Zachary, and also a friend of the show, John Llewellyn. And they did the Eagleheart podcast, but now it's a Star Wars podcast, but they haven't changed the name. So it's still, just search Eagleheart and you'll find it.
Well, I hope that neither of those two people die before the Star Wars movie comes out.
I hope
so
so,
they
too.
won't have to be up in heaven and
At
wonder what that black stormtrooper is doing.
That's right. At the very least, they die before the second one, which is probably going to be a letdown.
Speaking of movies, my plug is I saw Ex Machina.
Yeah, how's
It's
that?
awesome. It's great.
Awesome.
It's one of the best. I mean, it would be hard for me to say it's better than Blade Runner, because Blade Runner is the greatest film of all time. But it is definitely one of the best artificial intelligence movies ever.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's sexy and it's just fantastic.
I watched the second half of Godzilla, and
Which one?
the recent one, the Bryan
the
Cranston
Raymond Burr one.
Like,
Oh.
yeah. And it was really great for about 10 minutes, and then it was just really boring.
Who was
No,
on the
it
screen?
wasn't good at all.
Like it was,
ever.
but like for the
When
first
was
10
it
minutes,
good?
I was like, well, it was like when like Mothra and Godzilla were fighting in the city, like, but it was like
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. And but it was like such a plodding sort of like slow action, like where like after like 10 minutes of it, you're like, well, this is fucking tedious.
Actually, I walked out of that
Gotta wash
movie,
the
but
dishes.
I walked out of that movie not because I disliked the movie, but because I was with a friend and he just said, "Let's just go get drunk." And I was like, and you know what? That made more
just,
sense
like,
than
hand
sitting
down your
there
pants
and
at the
watching
time,
the
or
rest
like-
of the movie.
You know, the thing is, I think I can guess who that friend might have been.
It rhymes with Airy McGrin.
Ugh, gross.
But who was on screen more in that movie, Bryan Cranston or Godzilla?
I think, you know, the funny thing is, I didn't even see Bryan Cranston at all.
Yeah, because
So
he dies
that's
in the
how late-
beginning.
yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Another spoiler alert. But like, well, and I've heard like
Real
the first like
spoiler
hour
alert.
of that movie is just pointless like story, but then like and
Yeah,
then the
like,
last
you want
half an hour is just plodding fighting.
You just want to see like a fucking dinosaur step on some people, like and smush them like bugs. Like
Seems
that's
like a
what
pretty
I'm,
simple order to fill.
What am I there to see?
You
Like,
know-
all the fact that they're like waiting for him to like reappear out of the ocean or whatever the fuck was going on. I kind of forget that movie because I also got drunk when I saw it. But like, I mean, it was bad.
So the
It
best
was
way
just
to
not
watch
good.
this movie is like blotto drunk, right?
Yeah, well, I think like for like the very middle. Like,
One of- I-
and
For
you
some reason-
pass out.
For some reason, like Alcoholics Fly, that movie like fucking bugs to a fucking zap light. I mean, it's just like.
I caught a lot of shit in a very similar vein. I caught a lot of shit because I really, and I still will defend it. I really like the movie Cloverfield, and a lot of
Yeah.
people like were like, "What? That fucking piece of shit?" And I'm like, "No, I thought it was great." Like that. Now there's a monster movie about an attack that I thought was on New York. Oh, it does look like a monster attacked like a Strokes video because it's a bunch of like models running around and like some.
It's like, oh my God, is the bar still open?
It's 2 a.m. Let me in. There's a monster out here. I need a beer.
I have tickets to the Brooklyn Shell to go see the Avalanches.
I need a Cosmo immediately.
I'm friends with Vampire Weekend.
Like, I'm friends with the original guitar player of Interpol.
Carlos D and me. I want to get in.
I was an extra in Girls.
Do we have
This
any
person
other
seems to have a very
Brooklyn
unique
jokes?
Voice.
No, but we do have terrible accents from Kevin.
Indeed.
Kevin,
guess
do you have
we're-
any plugs?
No.
Good
I think
Lord.
everything in the world is worthless and not worth participating in.
Well, thanks for coming by.
So if you see that, pick
Well,
it up.
no, I must have something. Like,
You got something going on.
I don't have anything going on. I was just thinking if someone else had something going on that I cared about.
I think Jerry
oh,
Seinfeld's got a web
Okay,
series.
here we go. For Barcast listeners that like booze, there's going to be an open bar at the SFBarkast114, which is where they take neglected animals and try to get them into better homes. And they're going to
Really?
have an animal fashion show. They're calling it They're calling it Dogs on the Catwalk. They're going to dress up dogs in costumes, and they're going to run a fake dog fashion show, and they're going to have open bar and some food there.
I proclaim this to be the best event of the season.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I feel like I have done 90% of my time on this podcast shitting on things. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, I RSVP'd already. I mean, I definitely intend on going because
Now, there's something that I would go to.
I just hope that you don't RSVP on the furniture when I get you home.
I don't get it.
that as far as I know is probably the best thing going on this month.
All right, this month. Well,
It happens right at the end of May. I don't remember the exact date because I don't come prepared to things, but
well, that's obviously somebody that's not going to see Knife Party at the Craneway Pavilion in Richmond.
Are you going
That's
to
what I'm
some
doing.
state fair again?
No, it's some sort of a dance event that I'm probably way too old to be attending, but I'll probably attend it anyway.
If I give you some ecstasy, would you sell it for me?
Yes, please. I will sell everything I don't take.
Yes, please. Why don't we take a break and we'll come back and we'll do our final analysis of the bar.
Oh, okay.
All right? All right, this is SFBarkast at, what's this fucking place called?
Patriot House.
Patriot House or something.
Patriot House. All right, and we are back at Patriot House.
Dun, 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 dun,
Do you guys want to say anything left about the Deflategate before I ban you from speaking about it ever again?
You know, it's a really boring controversy as far as controversies go to me. Like,
It's a stupid rule.
yeah, you know what? Like, if you're gonna care more about like Tom Brady's underinflated balls than you are about fucking Ray Rice beating the shit out of his girlfriend, there's something really wrong with you.
I would go even further. It's like if you really are, upset about the Deflategate thing and you don't know what Boko Haram is, you have a lot of fucking studying to do.
Right. You should be kidnapped by either Boko Haram or Deflategate.
Oh, you know what? That'd be good. Let's have let's Skype with a Boko Haram kidnapped person and try to explain the Deflategate controversy.
Ball was deflated by like half a PSI.
Stop complaining about the food you're getting. I gotta tell you about Tom Brady's underinflated balls.
Oh, you mean 800 of your friends were raped and murdered?
Like,
So Brady might have had a slight edge in one random playoff game. That was a blowout anyways. But.
So this Brady, did he get to eat? Yes, but you're missing the point here.
Right,
The integrity of the game was questioned.
wait, so his bonus for winning the Super Bowl was 10 times what the penalty for cheating was.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, right?
His bonus for winning the Super Bowl is 10 times your national GDP. Who cares?
I can see why you'd be upset.
And the worst part is you have to go home and have sex with Giselle Bundchen tonight. And you get to eat rocks or whatever you do.
I'm not going to make any more jokes. Andrew, what is your final analysis, Phil Joannou, of this bar?
I think that they did an interesting job with it.
Is interesting code for shit?
Well, I mean, it's
This is really just fascinating excrement.
it's sort of a version of that, I suppose. You know what? This place isn't bad at all. It's just an after-work bar for people that work here. There's no reason to really come here on your own. Especially if you're a tourist or something like that, you can do a lot better than this place. Because you're essentially like in a Red Robin or like a
Yes.
Bennigan's or something
I totally
like that,
agree with
if
that.
you're here.
This is like a classy version of TGI Fridays.
A little bit, yeah.
It's nicer.
Yeah,
but
if this was in an airport, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, you know what though? Even though I don't think that the place is shit, like I earlier said, I only said that for comedic purposes. But honestly, if I was up here and it was the choice between going to one of these really crowded bars down on what's it,
Rick
Front Street
House.
or Schroeder's
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I think I might come here because it would just be a little bit more manageable. You know, like if I'm up here, I'm going to go see, a foreign language film at the Embarcadero Theater because I'm
magazines.
because it's maybe it's an NC-17 foreign language film, and I just want to get a beer and like not try to pose out or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm basically saying like if you're like kind of in the deep throes of a depression, this place would be all right.
I think you guys are being harsh on it. Like honestly, like most bars in this area suck. This actually feels like it has a little bit of character, no matter if it was forced and created by reality TV in 5 days. Like it is like it does a lot of the features of the bar are legitimately old. They're weathered, but but in a nice way. Like the walls are custom made wood paneling. Like I don't know, it's just like
The walls have wood.
the walls are, I know that's like the shittiest defense anyone could possibly give of a bar. The walls are wood.
Well, the
but
bar
like
itself is actually beautiful. Like, it's huge.
it's an
It's
antique,
like,
huge
yeah, it's
bar.
like so like it's hard to sort of go wrong like with a certain kind of bar in this place, and that's probably what they're doing. But like,
All right,
That's
guys,
what I
I
mean,
like
like,
it.
The food is different though, or the food is fine.
Yeah, it's
like
fine, I
the
would
drink
say that.
prices are fine. Like the whatever
like-
like pretentious version of the San Francisco Moscow Mule I had was good.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's just like it's like fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
We had
It's
the-
like if you were in the Mission and you were a little bit hungry, I could see going here. I wouldn't go. If I worked around here, I would definitely go here over a lot of those shitholes that Jeff mentioned earlier. Like I'd rather go to a pile of shit than a hole full of shit. And this is, I mean,
If I gave you the
Where's the
choice
wisdom?
between a hole of shit and a pile of shit,
I'd rather climb up a mountain than go down a pit of abyss.
and
they can put it like on the menu, like better than a pile of shit. Says Kevin Montgomery of Uptown Almanac.
4 stars out of 32.
Out of 4 piles of shit.
But Kevin mentioned something like
I rated 4 smiling turd emojis.
That's right.
we had the nachos and the food that I had here was good as far as like
Yeah, it was decent. It was respectable. I wouldn't call it
especially
out of control.
especially for bar food. Like, it's just like it's totally fine.
yeah.
I think I had the Ben Franklin nachos,
I think you did.
Yeah. Thanks.
but I was like looking at the
I
menu.
got the Aaron Burr Cobb salad.
Also, the check just came on a piece of reclaimed wood.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
It's a
like
classy
it's classy, This is the kind of thing that no one else would come up with except me, John Tapper. Don't fuck my wife.
you try to fuck my wife? Put in a new POS system.
Suddenly, like that show, all I can think, I've never seen the show, but all I can think of, it's like kind of outtakes from Raging Bull. let me ask you something. Did you fuck my wife? Hey, we're talking about the lines of the beer, the kegs.
I'm sorry. The kitchen staff seems to have misplaced my steak order. You want your steak?
You want your steak? Bring it over. Yeah, it's a piece of charcoal. One other thing, I'm looking at the menu, and they have the Millard Fillmore minestrone soup
Is well known for his Italian cuisine, Millard Fillmore.
and the George Washington fish stew.
Okay, the names are stupid as shit. We can all agree with that.
Well, I think that they basically didn't manage, or they didn't bother to remove any of the normal bar fare so it's like the it's like the Jefferson Davis quesadillas or something.
No, dude, it's like they have the Franklin Pierce smashed potatoes.
The Jim Crow fried chicken.
Exactly.
I'll have the slave owner special.
Like, do you want that sweet potato fries or regular fries? So like that served. Would you like that served a la carte or slave auction style?
All of the Jennings Jefferson soft serve.
They actually do have Thomas Jefferson's Monticello deviled eggs.
I love the fuck you lady, you can't vote, make my dinner special.
Bitch, get in the kitchen, make me a sandwich.
There we go.
Talk about a hole of shit. we have dug ourselves in.
That's right.
Kevin, what do you like this bar? Is that what you said? That was your final analysis?
I think it's
Sticking to that.
fine for what it is.
I gotta say, I do like it. I'm just, and my
you know what?
my apologies to the bar because I'm just feeling very dark today because of the whole Deflategate thing.
I mean, everything's garbage when you look at the NFL.
Everything's garbage from the time you wake up to the moment you die. Oh wait, sorry.
3 stars.
I give this life 2.5 stars.
But the bar 3.
One star.
I enjoyed being here better than the rest of my life.
I woke up in life and it just stole my credit card numbers.
Actually, right now, if I was a Yelp reviewer, if any place I go that doesn't steal my credit card, they get 4 stars. That's the bar that they have to go over, and sometimes they don't even do it.
That's right. Those people get 3 stars.
I would say if you're a fan of the show,
Fuck my wife, you get 2.
my final analysis would be if you're a fan of Bar Rescue, it'd be interesting to go here just to see what it looks like when they do renovate a bar.
Yeah,
because
sure.
they the renovation shots are 2 seconds. Because
Well,
for them it's all about
I always feel like watching that show. I always feel like, I bet if I went there, it would just be like cardboard,
Right.
like they can't possibly actually do anything with it, but they actually did.
They did. They did a good job with this, and it's good to know that him, honestly being verbally abusive towards a bunch of women actually paid off. So it's good.
It's always worked for me.
Yeah, you know what? It's the only way to get things done.
Yeah, it's just gonna be an unfettered asshole. So, anyways,
It'd
yeah.
be great if you walked in this place and he's like, "Let me talk to your husbands."
Jesus Christ.
All right. You have anything else, Andrew?
No, I think that's it.
I love the end of our shows, by the way. Like some podcasts, they have a kind of a great send off. They want to go off on a high note. We're just like, what do you got anything else? Is
Ours
there
are
anything?
the last 20 minutes, everyone's sort of fingers itching towards their player or whatever, thinking oh, this is going to end any second now. It's like, okay, any second.
It's a game of
20 minutes later. It's like, oh god.
I feel like it's a game of chicken between us and our listeners. Just turn it off.
Go ahead, listen to your next podcast. We don't care.
They're like, you know what? No, it's going to end any second now, and then we go off on some other stupid tangent. Cool.
God,
I'm not giving in.
I really want to listen to the Jimmy Dore exclusive feed, but these guys aren't done yet.
All right. So that's all I got. Yeah, you ready to go? Kevin Montgomery, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you
Indeed.
for having me.
Thanks for coming and venting with me.
You're a true
fellow
patriot.
Fellow Patriot fan.
Fuck the Seahawks.
Oh, wait a minute.
Cool. Kick you while you're down.
We'll see you next week
How
at
much-
the Seahawks house.
How much more memory do we have on the card? He's opened a new can of shit.
So have you seen any movies recently? And by recently, I mean in the last 10 years. Talk about every one of them.
And Andrew, I guess I'll see you next week.
I guess so.
All right, I'm Jeff
We'll still be
Cleary,
here. I'm Andrew Louder.
and we'll see you next time on SF Barkast.